This is Tales and Whispers, where every story is felt, not just heard.
We've all heard stories about heroes, right? But today, we're talking about a hero who isn't human, doesn't wear a cape, but managed to save a life with a single phone call. And get this, the hero was a cat.
So let me ask you this. What if the most important call of your life was just silent? You're in serious trouble. A call for help is made, but the person on the other end hears nothing, just dead air. That's the puzzle we're gonna unravel today.
And no, this isn't some made-up story from a movie. This really happened. We're heading back to Columbus, Ohio in 2006 for a true story that honestly still has people scratching their heads. Okay, so to really get how incredible this is, we first have to understand the crisis. It all starts with a man in some serious trouble.
So let's meet Gary Rosheisen. Now, you gotta understand, Gary was dealing with a lot. He had osteoporosis, which makes your bones really fragile, and he'd also had mini strokes. This left him with pretty bad balance, so he needed a wheelchair to get around. This is all super important for what happens next.
And then one day, the worst happened. It probably started out like any other day, but then Gary fell out of his wheelchair. And for someone with his health problems, a simple fall, well, it's a huge deal. This is where things get really scary. He's on the floor and he can't get up. He's even wearing one of those emergency alert necklaces, but he can't reach it. He can't call out for help. He was totally, completely stuck.
So there's Gary, lying on the floor, time is ticking by, and then just when you'd think all hope is lost, something amazing happens. A lifeline appears from the absolute last place you'd ever expect. Suddenly, the 911 dispatch center gets a call. They trace it, and it's coming from Gary's apartment. It looks like help is finally on the way. But there was a huge problem. The dispatcher answers, 911, what's your emergency, and nothing. Just silence. Not a voice, not a cry for help, not even a struggle in the background, just a totally open, silent line. Now, lucky for Gary, the policy is that every single 911 call has to be checked out, even the silent ones. So they dispatch an officer, Patrick Dougherty, to go see what's going on at that address. And what this officer is about to find, well, it's going to turn this routine call into a story that goes viral, long before going viral was really a thing. Okay, so the officer gets into the apartment, and right away he sees Gary on the bedroom floor, clearly in distress. So he's found the emergency, but he still has no idea who made the call. He looks around the apartment for clues, and over in the living room, he sees the phone has been knocked onto the floor, and right next to it is the only other living thing in the apartment. Yep, an orange tabby cat. His name was Tommy. So the million-dollar question is, did this cat really just dial 911 and save his owner's life? I know, it sounds completely nuts. Impossible, right? But as everyone started to piece it all together, this wild backstory came out that made this crazy idea seem, well, actually kind of possible. It turns out, Gary himself said that years before, because of his health issues, he had actually tried to train Tommy to do this, for this exact situation. And the plan he had was pretty straightforward, just 2 steps. 1, get to the phone. 2, press the big speed dial button for 911. Sounds easy, right? But we're talking about training a cat to do this. It sounds almost ridiculous. And this is the real kicker. When they asked Gary if the training worked, he basically said, I have no idea. He tried to teach Tommy, for sure, but he never actually saw the cat do it. He'd pretty much given up on the whole thing. So that leaves us with this massive question. Was Tommy a legit hero who remembered his training when it mattered most? Or was this all just a crazy 1 in a million coincidence? Let's look at both sides. Okay, so in the hero cat column, you've got the fact that Gary did try to train him. This wasn't just a random act, but in the total accident column, we know the training was never confirmed, and check this out, the speed dial button for 911 was right next to the speaker button, so it's totally possible Tommy just stepped on it by mistake. Look, at the end of the day, we're probably never gonna know for sure if he meant to do it or not, but honestly, who cares? The important thing is the result, not the explanation. The bottom line is, Gary was saved. So what's the big takeaway here? What does this story about a little cat teach us? I think there's a really powerful lesson in all of this. No matter how you slice it, Gary was saved, and he was saved by this little cat that even he wasn't sure could pull it off. It's just a great reminder that sometimes help comes from the most unexpected places, and that sometimes those crazy long-shot ideas we have might actually work.
And that kind of leaves me wondering, how many times have we all underestimated something small? A quiet friend, a silly idea, maybe even a pet. Tommy the cat is just this perfect furry little reminder that you should never, ever count out the little guy. Because sometimes they're the ones who make all the difference.